Good morning to everybody. How you doing? Hope all is well. Keep up the beautiful work. Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach. Today is Tuesday. Everyone thinks it's Monday because yesterday Mafi Workway and some people in shul, they were like, well, going to the Hechal to open the Torah because they thought it was Monday. So today is Tuesday. Tonight is Rosh Chodesh Sivan. And tomorrow is Bezrat Hashem Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Just in case you missed Yehishem from Nisan, we had a whole month of Nisan of Yehishem. Now we're going to have 12 days Bezrat Hashem of Yehishem starting tomorrow, Wednesday. Not only that, but if you pray in the SY Shul on the 13th of the month, you're going to have an extra day of Yehishem. And if you pray with the EGs, then you're going to have that day. Everybody becomes SY. When it comes to Purim Mitzrayim, when there's Yehishem, everybody says, we all left Egypt, didn't we? Yalla, Yehishem. When it comes to SY Nes Musan on the 13th of the month, everybody becomes SY. At the end of the day, yeah, my parents were born in Egypt, but their parents were born in Syria. So long story short, we should only have Yehishems with many parties for all of us. Be'ezrat Hashem Yitparach. May we hear that the hostages come home. Hazaton, look how long they're there. The world is spending billions of dollars on turtles to study the turtles and paper straws or plastic straws, but the hostages, people unfortunately don't really put too much effort. But Hashem sees, Hashem feels our pain, the Shekhinah suffers, and that's it. The Mashiach is going to come, and we're all going to be celebrating in Yerushalayim Habnuyah. Today, you might get about 8 billion emails and text messages or whatever it is that you're going to get to remind you to say a special prayer of today. Number one, the Shelah HaKadosh. They don't call everyone HaKadosh. You could say HaKadosh for somebody's name, and if it lasts a couple days, a couple weeks, couple years, it might not mean anything. But if it lasts for hundreds and hundreds of years, that means that Hashem wanted that name to stick. And when it says Hakadosh, they are Kadosh, and they refer to the Shalah Hakadosh. The Shalah, he wrote a sefer called Shnei Luchot Haberit. He's buried right near the Rambam in Tiberia, in Tiberias. When we go on our Israel trip, we will go, and he composed a prayer for all year long, but it's even more of a time to say it today, Erev Rosh Chodesh Sivan, because the whole purpose of creation was for the holiday of Shavuot. And thank goodness everybody we know, everyone listening to this class, they know that the purpose of Shavuot is not just to eat calzones and then wada and jump in the pool and hang out. Obviously, Shavuot is a very, very, very special holiday. If the entire world was created just for this day, obviously it's a very important holiday, and we have to plug in. This is a holiday where Hashem waited for us to do all the work. We prepared 49 days for this holiday. Imagine Pesach cleaning starts right after Purim, 30 days before. Some ladies don't let Hametz in the house from Hanukkah time already. However, when it comes to actual getting ready for Pesach, the second Purim is over. You walk into the store, you want to buy yourself a nice whatchamacallit, and now you see you can only buy Passover chocolate already the day after Purim. However, over here, it's not a preparation of cleaning. It's not a preparation of learning the halachot. It's a preparation to transform ourselves into a different human being than we were the previous day. There are 49 days, which with 42 mixtures of the Sefirot, of the character traits. Rabbi Akiva's students in these days, as we learn, they were passing away because they weren't on a perfect level, which is a whole subject in itself. We're all learning Pirkei Avot to learn the lessons and the ethics of our fathers. It happens to be, for all those that did not sign up for the Mishnah Yomit class, recommended to sign up because the Mishnah Yomit happens to be Pirkei Pirkei Avot now, and we know there's no coincidences. You're supposed to learn Pirkei Avot in between Pesach and Shavuot, and here we are in the Mishnah Yomi learning Pirkei Avot as well. DM, PM, your local admin, and Bezat Hashem, they'll hook you up to be part of the Mishnah Yomi class. Long story short, 49 days is not a joke to get ready for one holiday. We have to do all the work. When it came to Passover, we just sat in our house and we were eating Korban Pesach, and Hashem did all the work. He's the one that passed over our house and brought us into the holiday of Pesach. However, Shavuot, you yourself have to be the one to work hard and make it utilize the holiday of what it's all about. As we know, there are spiritual crowns that Hashem puts on our head. There's a crown that says Na'aseh. There's a crown that says Nishma. And there's also the Keter Torah, that when a person learns, they end up getting. Why is it that when you look at a great Chacham, you see a Malchut? When you looked at Hamavadia Yosef, you saw a king. It wasn't just Heke or a regular rabbi. You saw greatness because he had a spiritual crown that our neshama was able to see. He had the keter of the Torah, which is something that we all, in order to be a king, you either got to be voted in or you have to inherit it from a father, etc. But the Keter Torah is anyone who wants to go and study Torah and work hard for the Torah, you can receive the crown of the Torah, whether it be men or even women. God bless. They come to classes. They stop their day. Women are very busy, especially nowadays. They're running for holidays, running Jersey, Brooklyn, this, that, and they're still going to classes and listening to Torah. Baruch Hashem, look at our community. Hashem is looking down and he's smiling, and he should bless our entire nation, Be'ezrat Hashem. When you hear the words of Shavuot, so everybody thinks of staying up the entire night. Before we get to staying up the entire night, BTW, far away in Never Neverland, you have people who stay up. It's better to go to sleep. They want to stay up the whole night. Beautiful. But sometimes they go outside. They might even be smoking, etc., hanging out, talking, whatever it might be. Obviously, that makes no sense. 100%. If someone's going to stay up, they're going to learn Torah and do what they're supposed to. And sometimes you have kids in Wisconsin that might be running around shul. The shul pulls out the borakas, they pull out the emwarat, the sambusak, and the kids are grabbing and running around. Obviously, they should not let the children, unless the children are going to do what they are supposed to, which is too hard anyway. They maybe should give a class for an hour for the children that do want to stay, and then, of course, go back home safely for the rest of the night. But regarding the starting the holiday, we know that it says in the Omer, and we say, some people say it in the L'Shem Yehud, Hamavadia happens to omit it. But in the L'Shem Yehud, before we make the Beracha, the Omer, I hope we're all still in the Omer, not to talk Lashon Hara, but I know someone who was already out before the first week of the Omer, but that's a guy in Never Neverland, but nobody that we know. And we did mention in the beginning, and it's worthwhile to mention it again, and that is, if a person can make the beracha on the Omer anymore because they missed a night and a day, they should still count without a beracha. There is still a mitzvah. There is a point in counting it. And we also mentioned, and there was a kid in our synagogue, God should bless everyone and give everyone parties. We said if a child becomes bar mitzvah in middle of the Omer, he cannot count anymore. Even if he never missed a night, he counted with a beracha. He has the card next to his bed, and once he becomes a real man, today a real man is like 80 years old. No, just kidding. Baruch Hashem, we're all real men. Long story short, when he becomes a real man, when he's 13 years old, he's not allowed to count the Omer anymore. Why? Because he's a new person. The one who was counting prior is not the same one counting anymore. His obligation beforehand wasn't really an obligation. It was just a incumbent on the father as educating his child to say the Omer, and therefore he can't do it anymore. So that young man who can't count the Omer anymore with the beracha, if he became bar mitzvah, he should most definitely still count without a beracha. Anyway, right before we count the Omer, there's a L'Shem Yehud that many people say, and some of them are longer than the other. Some of them are longer than the Megillat Esther and Ruth put together. But there's a pasuk in there that it says, Sheva Shabbatot Temimot Tiyena, and Hamavadia omitted it because of other reasons. He condensed the L'Shem Yehud. He took out a few words that people always said, and one of them was this pasuk. Long story short, it says in the Torah, Sheva Shabbatot Timimot Tihiyena. When it says Timimot, what is that coming to teach you? You should count 7 complete weeks of the Omer. What does the word complete mean? Complete means that you have to have a full 49 days, which means Shavuot Bezrat Hashem is Sunday night. And we know every Friday, especially in the summer, you're allowed to make Shabbat earlier, an hour and 15 minutes earlier before sunset. From Peleg Amenha, you could light candles and accept Shabbat at that moment and pray early, like many of us do. The men, when they finish praying in the summer, they come home, it's still light outside most of the time, because when they come home, it's still not sunset, and the wife is still doing the last minute touch ups, which we spoke about in the past. He's allowed to accept Shabbat; she doesn't have to. But anyway, when he comes home, well, they already start the meal. It's a little earlier, and it makes life easier in the summer months. Some people they're strict, which is beautiful. Each to their own. You're only allowed to be mahmir for yourself, not for other people. Some people they start Friday night dinner. I'm sure they do it with thinking about it and thinking what will come out of it. But if someone has little children and they're going to start Friday night dinner at 10 o'clock, that's very hard for the children, and they're waiting and they're hungry and they're cranky, etc. So the earlier, the better, most definitely. And when it comes to the night of Shavuot, some people say, since it says Timimot with the Omer, that means if you make Sunday night earlier, you start Kiddush, you start Arbit earlier in the day, like we do on a Friday night in the winter, there's a problem because you're taking away from the 49th day of the Omer. It's not a complete day, which means if it's not a complete day, then you didn't finish the 7 weeks completely. And if you didn't finish it, then is that a problem or not? So it's a mahloket. Hamadia brings down both sides of the coin. Some say you have to wait till it's for sure nighttime on Sunday night to start the Kiddush because of this word Timimot, and some say no, it's not a problem. What does Hamavadia say? Listen, if it's easy for a person, no problem to do it later, then yes, why not? But most of the time, it's not an easy thing to do because you have, like we said, we have kids and we have people, and people have to go get ready to stay up. And if they're going to start the night cranky, then forget about it. The whole night they're going to be cranky. So you are allowed to start Kiddush Shavuot night earlier, just like you can on a Friday night, because of this reason, as we mentioned. That's something to keep in mind for this coming Sunday night, Bezrat Hashem. The good part about Shavuot falling out on a Sunday night is if a person doesn't work on Sunday, they could take a nap and Bezrat Hashem have energy to stay up the entire night and learn Torah. Why do we stay up the entire night of Shavuot? And the answer is because when we were getting the Torah, it's possible that Am Yisrael overslept a little. And Hashem had to wake us up with thunderstorms and with rain. And when they woke up, they got there, it would have been better if we woke up earlier and got there earlier. So to make up for sort of going there a drop later and not waking up on time, we show Hashem we're eager to get the Torah, and that's why we stay up the entire night. And there are some people, the Moroccans have a custom to sprinkle water on Shavuot on one another, not major water fights, heke, putting a hose to the fire hydrant and start squirting the whole dinya. They sprinkle water to commemorate the rain falling on that day that we receive the Torah. And there is a concept of water being chesed as well. Chesed, water takes away any nahas, any negativity. And Hashem said, "V'zarakti alechem mayim tehorim." We all became pure when we got to Har Sinai. When the Jewish people were there, the world became once again the status as if it was before Adam and Eve, Adam and Hava, did the sin. We know the world was a much better place before Adam and Hava did the sin on that Friday that they were created. And we know the Yetzer Hara wasn't inside of us, it was on the outside of us. And we know there was less Tumah in the world. Well, that's what happened after the Jewish people got the Torah. Why? Because we all passed away when we were by Har Sinai. We heard Hashem's voice saying the first two commandments. So our nishamot flew out of our bodies and went to try to cling to Hashem. When a baby hears the mother, the baby wants to connect to the mother. Our neshama is a piece of Hashem Himself. So when we heard Hashem's voice, our neshamot from our bodies left us, and Hashem had to resurrect us with the dew that's underneath His throne that He's saving for Tahayat Metim, which is coming very, very soon. Bezrat Hashem, Yitbarach. So after He resurrected us, and now we got the Torah, it was like we were created anew. The Yetzer Hara was not inside of us, it was on the outside. The status was just like it was before Adam and Hava sinned. But unfortunately, it was only like that for approximately 40 days. When Moshe Rabbeinu went up for 40 days, we know what happened after that, the story of the golden calf. Once the golden calf came along, then unfortunately, once again, the Yetzer Hara came inside of us, and the world became a place just like it was after the sin of Adam and Hava, instead of being the status that it was beforehand. So Har Sinai was the most magnificent sight. All of Am Yisrael was there. All of our nishamot were there. And Hashem made flowers grow out of a stone mountain for the occasion. And not only that, legend has it that there's a mountain in the Sinai desert that they say is Har Sinai, and every stone that's cracked off, you could even Google it. There was a time when Israel owned the Sinai desert before we gave it back. They were selling these stones in Eretz Israel. I think you could still get it on eBay. I myself don't get a vig for every purchase, but every stone that comes out of Har Sinai, you see like a image of a burning bush. It's a black item that looks like the thorn bush because it was on Har Sinai where Hashem appeared to Moshe in the burning bush. So recommended heke. Is it 100% true? No, but that's what legend has it. So at that moment, we were all there. That's why they say if you click to somebody easy, you were standing next to them on Har Sinai. And if maybe there's people, of course, from Wisconsin that we might not click with as easy. Some people, they know each other for 80 years and they still can't click. And some people, you meet them in 30 seconds, you already click. And the answer is because they were a little further, and that's why the Neshamot weren't together. But anyway, Har Sinai, that moment was the greatest moment of time. And that's the whole purpose why Hashem created heaven and earth. And the whole purpose of learning Torah is to teach our family Torah, etc. And that's why today it's a very opportune time to say the prayer of the shelah. It's for a parent, for their children, for protection, for beracha, and for going on the right path. And even a newlywed couple or someone who can't have children, Shallah Hashem should send them. That will be the beracha to say. If you pray on this day, Be'ezat Hashem, that the children should be good, then Hashem will send the children to those who need children, and Be'ezat Hashem, everyone's prayers will be fulfilled. I hope everyone has the greatest day. Keep up the excellent work. Be'ezat Hashem, may your lives be as beautiful as the weather today, even more with beracha v'atzlaha for all of Am Yisrael. Amen. Take care. All the best. Bye.